Hello, my people. Hope you had a nice weekend. I'm back for the week. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? All right. Saturday, I put a quick post out. I took my boys to the first football game. They lasted for 45 minutes and then they had enough. The most memorable thing was the water sprinklers and the player who hurt his head. So it was 0-0, but we left at half time. They want to push it and we missed 3 goals in the second half. But hey, that's life. Um, they had the experience and hopefully I can take them again. And there's another thing I said I have done with them, and it was time spent with them, quality time. Anyway, I'm back with another week. I was a bit tired today actually, a bit sluggish to that work, but it's all good. We'll keep going. So today's message actually is inspired by my cousin, second cousin, Josh Daniels, who that's why I put that the subject in quotation marks, because that's part of the message, what he said to me. We was talking about another subject, and he said he was actually watching my videos, and I didn't realise that. And he's the next generation, as I call it. But what actually, a question for you guys: what actually class as a generation? Educate me. I don't know when a new generation starts as such. Um, the man himself is joining Josh. Um, so yeah, what class as a generation? I'm 37 now. I still feel young. I've never really got too caught up about age. Well, one thing, when I was 16, I said I wanted to retire by 40, so I better get a move on. But really, other than that, I don't really pay no attention to age. I've always felt older than my years and more mature than my years, so I never really got caught up in that. And sometimes when people actually ask me, I have to really think about my age. Not hello, 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 back at you, Josh. Um, I have to think about it, not because I'm embarrassed about it. It's just I just literally I don't really think about it. But that might change when I hit 40. We'll see. We'll see. Um, so yeah, I kind of class Josh in that kind of next generation, whatever that is. And he said he was watching my videos. I said, "Oh, that's cool. Um, is there any questions I can put to the young people?" And he came back with something that actually was quite deep on one level, and had to really think about. So about how he feels in the current climate that the youth do not have to have a voice, to have a lot to say, a lot of sound stuff to say, but don't really have a voice out there to share that. And it kind of got me thinking how literally we think as adults, as we get older, the more wiser we become, and how people younger than us, or quite a bit younger than us, we always know better than them. A classic example is your parents. You always think your parents know best for you. But one thing to think about, and me as a parent now, it's kind of emphasised it, is that parenting doesn't come with a manual. Yes, there are 1,000 books out there, but there's no A to Z of being a parent. There's so many ways you can parent. A lot of that's from your own experience, what you observe, what you've experienced yourself. So if there's no manual, then how do we know we're getting it right? And yes, definitely children can teach us. People all ages and levels can teach us, and we kind of just assume that the older you are, the more you know, the wiser you are, and therefore, so definitely, Josh. The young people do have a voice. The young people have things they can share. And we need to bring more of that into definitely the government and politics. And maybe one reason why the youth feel they don't have a voice is because they don't feel that they're, and I'm talking about political here, they don't feel engaged in the political process. Yes, you have a right to vote when you're 18. There's debates about whether that should be brought down to 16, but that's for another day. Yes, legally, 18, you have a right to vote, but a lot of people, and me included, when I was 18, I don't really appreciate what the vote actually meant. People in the world are dying to have a vote, but me here, I don't really have appreciation of that. I was kind of like what you hear a lot. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of them and us. They don't whatever. My vote's not going to make a difference. Blah blah blah. So I'm not gonna vote. So that's kind of like disengaging myself. But another reason because of that is because I didn't actually understand about politics. I was never taught about it at school. I did start studying a bit of government politics at A level, so I got a bit of an understanding. Went down to the Houses of Parliament and that. But But again, as you hear with a lot of my messages, it comes down to education. These young kids are not being, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, or any others, I ain't been in school for a little while. There's nothing really been taught about politics. In fact, of the whole system and what it means to vote. How do you vote? All those little things. Um, and yeah, you could say it's down to the parents to teach them, but a lot of these parents' generation are not voting themselves. I mean, this EU referendum, I think you all saw the news about the number of people who actually registered to vote for the first time. Those people who are voting to register for the first time, that says they've never voted in a general election or anything. So that's saying something. So how do we get our young people, just generally in life? I mean, I learn a lot about my children. Um, we can learn about they don't give up. They don't really care about what other people think of them. And someone I was speaking to on the weekend, actually, they were telling me about a situation where they were in they went to a wedding, and there was dancing going on, and a particular person who they've always known never to have any fear, or was always been a good dancer, been quite social, quite that. They were they weren't really taking part, and this person was very surprised from what they used to know of them as a child, now as a teenager, being, and it's all about being more, as you get older, being more conscious of yourself. You lose that childlike spirit, and yes, we mature in one way, but we also lose some of that, which is quite. And for me, hearing that was quite sad because I'm quite involved in this person's life, and it actually made me quite sad to hear that, and I kind of felt a bit of responsibility on that part, that I kind of let that person down a little bit for them to be feeling that way. But for me, growing up, it was kind of the opposite. I was didn't have a voice, wanted to keep quiet, stay out. So for me, stepping out and being that was not me. But it all comes back down to education. What are we doing to these young people so that when they're children, and yes, we're supposed to teach them more, educate, but that attitude that they become so self-conscious, they kind of become introverted in themselves. It's something to be thought about. So how do we give these young people a voice? How can we stop being so arrogant as adults about thinking we know everything and preaching to our children? How much are we actually listening to them, talking to them, asking them about stuff? We kind of just think, young people, yeah, they know about um, technology and IT and that, but you know what I mean. Other than that, anything of um, that is for adults. Adults talk. It's kind of they get left out of it. And when the adults are talking, the children are supposed to go and do their own thing. So how do we really got to listen to the children more, give them a chance, to step up, give them positions of leadership and responsibility quite early on. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I don't know what goes on in the classroom, but it's always a teacher teaching to the children. How about, I don't know, a reversal at times? All right, Josh, I'm reading this. Hey, Silborn. It's a privilege for you to be joining my Facebook. I better impress you. Would you say there is a conflict of interest between how society dictates by age what the youth can be involved with, and then what they can make them aware of? Is that fair? Well, Josh, you're throwing me some questions there, man. Would you say there's a conflict of interest? Conflict. What the youth can be involved with. Then what they can make them aware of. Conflict of interest. So I'm just taking in your question, Josh. What do you say? Between how? I don't know. I don't know if there's a conflict. I don't know if there's a conflict of interest. No, it's good, man, Josh. Don't be sorry. That's a good one. Conflict of interest. I kind of think it comes down to maturity. I think on the whole, obviously in life we generalize, and we stereotype and put labels, and um, some of that reason is genuine, but for the most part it's to people's detriment. I think if you everyone wants you to be defined by something. So often the question is in small talk when you're meeting someone, "Hi, how you doing? What's your name? What do you do?" You tell them your job, and immediately thoughts come to mind about what kind of person you are, and blah blah blah. It's kind of labels, and for me myself, I've done quite a few different jobs, worked in quite a few different industries, and I remember I went for one interview, and the guy said I was like a box of licorice all sorts. I didn't quite know how to take that, meaning that I was just doing all different types of things, and I don't think he could quite figure out what I was doing, and what is wrong with that. Why we think someone has to have a defined path. I mean, obviously, if you want to be a doctor or something, yeah, you've got to have a take some path. But for someone who's not following the traditional paths, yes, I was trying to find myself, but in all those different roles I did, there was different skills. I mean, I was speaking to a business coach today, and he was basically saying, we spoke for about 20 minutes, and he was saying it's obvious from what I was telling him that I had a love for people and family, and basically he was saying no matter what business or work you apply yourself to, those skills can transcend into anything. So in a sense, it doesn't actually matter what you do, it's why you're doing it and what skills you can bring to that. Whether the industry and that doesn't really matter. And that was kind of a bit of wisdom. And I think actually this guy is younger than me, so to really point home with me. But I was humble enough to accept that I didn't let age get in the way of that. I mean, I contacted him. I think he is younger than me. I might be wrong, but I didn't let that stop. There's things I can learn from him, and definitely in the half an hour, he gave me a lot of wisdom in that half an hour. So I think a lot of it as well, Josh, is to do with ego. Include myself in this. Definitely, we think we know best. Sometimes our initial reaction to things, and I'm learning this more and more. I react to something, and then I think I step back and think maybe that was the right reaction, but I'm big enough to go back to that person and say, okay, I'll reconsider things as well. So I think ego plays a part. For some reason, we think if a child knows something we don't, has an answer we don't, is we find it kind of embarrassing. So I think as adults we've got to let ourselves go a bit. Again, it comes to that taking ourselves too seriously and all of that. Going back to your question, Josh, what the youth can be involved in. I think some of it's, yeah, sorry, I lost my point. I think some of it's maturity as well. We think generalising, the older you get, the more mature you get. But I think we've got to look at individuals, and I've done a post about this before. It comes down to the state education, where it's a kind of one size fits all. 30 children in the classroom, one teacher, and you're expected to teach them all the same way. It's just 30 people are not all gonna learn the same way. They have different skills and abilities, different backgrounds, different attitudes. Which for me, we got to work more on our people's attitudes and their mindsets and make them think they're capable, or not necessarily make them think. Give them permission to dream big and realize that anything is possible. The West can work itself out. If you want to get into something, you need to learn it. You go to college, go to university. I've done a post before. Books. There's so many different ways to learn, but we got to work on what's up here. Um, and I think that's enough of that is being done. So we all mature at different levels. I mean, I was always quite mature for my age, so you could argue maybe I could have been given a leadership role quite early on, whereas others mature later. That's just we're all different. So this age, like you said to me, Josh, age shouldn't be a number. It has to be for some things. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of taking on leadership roles, definitely age shouldn't be a number. Um, so on that point, I mean, I'm trying to for myself as well, and I'm going to try and do it in this point to try and give people not just talk about it and or what have you, but try and give people action points to take away things that they can do now. So, Josh, I said I was going to ask you questions, so I'm going to throw this back at you. What what can the young people do to change that perception? Um, there are some young people who definitely look up to adults and think they know best, so they'll pretty much listen to everything they're say, but there are those young people who've got the freedom in their mind to think and to step up. So what can the young people do to change that perception? Yes, you may feel you're disengaged with politics. You may feel that politicians are doing it. They're running around claiming expenses for things they shouldn't be claiming expenses for, not in touch with the youth, etc. But what can you do about that? We're in a country that there is a lot of opportunity here. If you want to start up your own business, there is a lot of help available. You might have to search for that help. We have a national healthcare system where you pay your taxes, no matter how much you pay, and you need to go to hospital. You can do that. You may argue about the system and the intricacies of it, but there's some countries we don't have a national haircare system. Where am I going with that? A national healthcare system. So we got to take advantage about what's around us. So there's nothing stopping a young person getting into politics. You might not know how to do it, but there's nothing stopping. There's no law once you're 18 to say you cannot get involved in politics. And for me, that's something I'm thinking about myself, the back of my mind. I mean, what can I do to get involved? And for me, if I'm going, I say if I am, I've got to tell myself I'm going to get involved in politics in some shape or form. For me, it's got to be on a local level, trying to start things, change things around me locally, and then if whatever comes of that will. So what can the young people do? Suggestion for me: get amongst yourselves, talk among yourselves. I mean, there's a great website I've talked about a lot of times. Hey Karim, how you doing, man? Called Meetup.com, and it just all it is using the tools and of the internet just to bring people together. And the great thing about it is you actually physically meeting in person, so you can go in there, find people with common interests. So young people involved in politics, or it doesn't have to be young people, people who discuss, debate politics, and you just arrange a meet-up wherever, weekly, monthly, wherever you want. So go in there, have a look, see what people are doing on there. If there's nothing on there, start something, advertise it on social media. I'm sure there's young people out there who, something like young people fed up with politics, feel like politicians aren't, listen, what would you change about the world? Get it together, get a meet-up going. You can put stuff on Facebook groups and things like that, but I personally like meetups because it's getting people talking, meeting up and physically socialising and talking about these things. And once you start mobilising people together, you can change the world. You can literally change the world. Karim, you've used meetup.com and meetup groups are free as well. There's no charge for it. Like I say, it's just utilising the internet to bring people together from literally around the world, where you wouldn't be able to do that easily. So definitely Meetup is a good one. I'm sure there's many other things out there. So Josh, and for me, and I've saying these young people, whoever, use your frustrations to make that change. Yeah, to change something. Use that to put that fire in your belly. Yeah, this is going on. I'm not happy with it, but I've got the power to do something about it. And get out there and speak and go and talk to people and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, just speak. Who's your local MP? Write to your local MP saying, I feel young people don't have a voice. What are you doing about it? Maybe invite one of them to come. I'm sure any MP of their worth would love it if you said, look, I've got 20 people, young people together in a place, this time and place, come down and talk with us. They might be scared, I don't know. I might think, wow, do you know what I mean? Use your creativity. I've done a video on that. Think outside of the box. Use your tools and resources around you. Sorry, Josh, I'm reading. So express them, say, get as hard to challenge on yourself. You look like you're a lot further than me, Josh. I'm going to put this on you, Josh. I'm going to give you the responsibility to drive this forward. Get together with people. Get adults involved, or deemed as adults, or older people. Find out what they feel. Why, if they're not giving you the responsibility you think you can take on, why is that? Challenge them. Challenge people. I mean, there's ways to go about challenging people. Do you know what I mean? It's a skill to be learned. But there's nothing wrong with quite. They say age. I remember age 3, my stepdaughter asking me everything, and most kids go through this thing where why this, why that. You ask one question, why. They keep going, why, and you start to get frustrated. But it's good. They're questioning things, they're drilling down, and we should. I'm always why things the way they are. Why is Parliament the way it is? Why should it have to be that way? If you go into things and go into life with a question in mind, um, doors will open for you, and you'll achieve things that people haven't achieved before. Everything you see around you, this light bulb, this lighting I keep going on about, my dodgy lighting. Someone had that there. Someone questioned about creating light, and from that, Mr. Dyson, James Dyson. When I was growing up, a Hoover, you had a Hoover bag, and to try and empty it, I'm trying to go on like I was used to Hoover all the time. My mum would probably say something different about that, but a few times that I did Hoover, and I had to used to have to change the Hoover bag, I'd be like, oh man, you get dust up all in your face and whatever like that. But I just accepted it. That's what it is, because that's what I'm used to. That's what I can see. But a certain Mr. James Dyson questioned that. Why do you need to have a bag in a Hoover bag? And now look at it, everyone is going around with Dysons in their house. He challenged the status quo, and he's changed history. Now, people growing up will think nothing now of a Hoover without a bag, or it's gone to the extent now. Probably, if someone's got a Hoover with a bag in it, they probably think, why you got a Hoover with a bag? You got this bag with one. It's like common sense. But you see, you question things, and you will change people's perception and change people's attitude. So, good man, Josh. You're already working at it. Keep me updated. Keep me updated. Speak about it on social media if you feel the need to. You don't have to broadcast it, but yeah, keep me updated with what you're doing. If I can help in any way, then let me know. So great question, by the way, Josh. Great question. If anyone else has got anything they want me to speak about, I ain't a professional. This is no notes. It's just me talking about things, and hopefully I can add value or start conversations, get people talking. I remember when the riots happened. I was in Ipswich at the time, but it was in my area, North London, and I think I put a post on Facebook years ago. It's probably somewhere there. People were moaning about it, blah blah blah, and I was I think what I said something like, what can we? Obviously, these young people are not just doing this for the fun of it. Yes, there were people who jumped on the bandwagon, saw it as an opportunity to get a free pair of trainers or what have you. But for the most part, it was because young people, were disengaged with the system. Yes, and no, you can argue about the means they went about it, but there was a reason for that. And I kind of said something along the lines, what are we going to do with this, the young people with these feelings? What can we do? What can we do to help them? One of my goals is to get involved in mentoring young people, and just empowering them, getting involved in education, not just general state education in another shape or form, just to empower them and teach them the skills that I was never taught in school, soft skills, the mindset, public speaking, entrepreneurship, coaching. That's a new one on me today. Using a coach. We think nothing of sports athletes using a coach. We've got the Olympics coming up. Andy Murray, the tennis player, he went for a little while without having a coach, and people thought he was crazy. So we think nothing of it in the sports world, but in our own lives, it's not something that it's not really a common thing. Why not have coaches in our personal lives? And that's something I'm looking at myself. I've got a whole lot of ideas, but I think I need someone else to help me from an external point of view. And that half an hour I spent with Errol Lawson is his name. Check him out. If you're listening to Errol, you come across this video, thank you so much for the wisdom you gave me in 30 minutes. Yeah, just to guide you and to help you. I've lost my train of thought. But anyway, I've spoken enough anyway. Josh, thank you for all these comments. I need to read this through. I'm so glad that you're working on it. You're not just moaning about it. Not that you were moaning. I'm not saying you weren't. You're not just accepting the situation. You're trying to do something about it, and I think that's the most important thing with anything in life. We all like to have a moan, me included, but I've got the mentality of um, you either shut up and accept what you're doing, what you're moaning about, or you do something about it. And doing these Facebook lives is one way of me trying to address something. Jumping in my shyness, and this is helping me to refine the craft of public speaking, to hopefully go and share my story. But that's it, really. I'll be back tomorrow with another subject. Don't know it yet. I'm sure something will come to me. But have a good week, all. Thank you, Josh, so much for this in the comments. Thank you, Karim. Thank you, Silborn, if you're still around. I'm watching your stuff on YouTube. I love your TV show. That wasn't a plug to try and get me on it. No, really, I do love. I love the people you're interviewing. There's a lot of people I'm following and I look up to as such, including my great friend and mentor Audie Cummins. So I love what you're doing with that. Anyone else who watches this later, any likes, comments, thank you. Let me know what you want me to speak on, and give me critique this. Give me feedback. I'm big enough to handle it, positive or not so positive. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care. See you later. I'm off.